Hello and welcome to another video from Joe's World of Finance. Now, the infamous 420 is coming. The markets have been going crazy. Everything's making all-time highs. The Model 3 was the highest selling vehicle by revenue in the US last quarter, Q1. What else can we expect from Battery Investor Day on the 20th of April? Find out today.
Look now at the universe.
Now, one important thing to set up before we dive into things is, what is the biggest cost in manufacturing an electric vehicle? It's the battery. So if we were to compare an internal combustion engine vehicle, an ICE vehicle, to an EV, the engine is the most sort of elaborate part, and it's the same thing for an electric vehicle being the battery. So those are the two analogous parts. So traditional automakers like Toyota and Ford, they are excellent at making internal combustion engines, but they don't know much about making batteries. Tesla has disrupted the industry because it's perfected the art of making batteries, and obviously doesn't really know anything about internal combustion engines, and they are different products. And so if the biggest cost of the car is the battery, then it's incredibly important that we see how far ahead Tesla is when it comes to their battery technology, because that is their main differentiator. It's their main defensible moat. It's the thing that when other car companies come from them, trying to compete, trying to beat them with their Tesla killer products, we will see whether or not the products are actually good enough based purely on the powertrain and battery technology. So coming up on the 20th of April, so as of filming this, it's in 1 week, less than 1 week, we're finally, I've been waiting for this for like a year, we're finally going to get the Battery and Powertrain Investor Day for Tesla. And so what we're doing today is breaking down 5 things that we are likely to see, or at least 4 things we're likely to see on one big moonshot. Hang on till the end to find out what that moonshot is. And make sure if you're excited for the Battery and Powertrain Investor Day that you smash the like button for the YouTube algorithm. And if you want to find more content like this, make sure you hit the subscribe button and then the notification bell. All right, let's jump right into it. All right, so number 1 on the things that we should expect from the Battery and Powertrain Investor Day is $100 per kilowatt hour batteries. So this is a really big deal. So let's break it down. Why does this actually matter? What the hell is a kilowatt hour? And why does it need to be less than $100? So a kilowatt hour is the singular unit of energy. So a watt is a unit of power. It's how much power is, how many joules are transmitted per second. A joule is a unit of energy, like kilojoules in food. All right, we're making all the connections here. So the power is the rate of energy transfer. It's how fast your car can kick. Whereas the energy is the amount of battery power, the amount of power you could transmit over time if you were to run it, but stored as a unit of energy. And so a kilowatt hour is 1,000 watt hours. So a watt hour is if you were to run a 1 watt power unit for 1 hour, it would generate 1 watt hour. So for 1 kilowatt hour, right, we've got these batteries in these vehicles, which are typically 70 kilowatt hour, 80, 100, that kind of range in these electric vehicles, 100 kilowatt hours. That in a $100 kilowatt hour vehicle, that would be 10 grand. Now, typically these car companies are producing them at about $200+ per kilowatt hour. And so that's 20 grand. And you can see how that can quickly add up if you're trying to sell a vehicle for 35 or 40,000 US dollars, and the battery packs alone are going to cost you 10 to 15 grand, and that's just at the cell level. So it's $100 per kilowatt hour, and then you need to package it up into a pack. So the process right now is Tesla buys the cells from Panasonic and in the US, and then they turn those cells, those round little cells, lithium-ion cells, into packs or into modules, and then those modules go into packs. Now, there is additional costs with the assembly of each of those stages. And so what we're talking about here is $100 per kilowatt hour batteries at the pack level. So once we've added in all those extra costs. Now this would be a truly disruptive change. I think they've been working towards this for the entire lifetime of the company. This is a huge moment for them because this number is a very round number. Emotionally, everyone can really connect to $100. It's very clear. Right now, the last public number we got was $190 per kilowatt hour. And for example, the Powerwall is a 13.5 kilowatt hour unit, and it costs $6.5 grand. That's like the $400 per kilowatt hour battery cost. So if we were to extrapolate this out, right, this could have huge implications. It's also the only way that the Tesla the semi truck, could be economical, because that is going to be at least 600 kilowatt hours, right? And so if it's $100 per kilowatt hour, that's 60 grand. Well, the semi truck is selling for 150,000 upwards, and so that leaves them, 90K for everything else. The cab and the powertrain and all of these other parts that could be quite expensive to build. And so if we could see that, that would be an almost 50% reduction on the last public number and would put them drastically in the lead, uncatchably. The number 2 thing that I'm expecting to see is a 1,000,000-mile battery. So we just spoke about battery capacity, and now we're talking about battery lifetime. So when you discharge and recharge a battery, it actually creates micro cracks within the cell infrastructure. And so when those cracks get too large, it can no longer recharge. And so that's how over time the battery can degrade. And you can see this degradation, it's impacting the driver because the car can go less and less distance on the same charge. And so over the lifetime of the vehicle, that would degrade. It's the same reason that your iPhone dies faster, your MacBook dies faster over the lifetime of you owning it. Every time you recharge it, it actually can last a tiny bit less. Now, they've purchased a battery cell chemistry company a couple of years ago called Maxwell Technologies. Now, it specializes all the way down in the base level cell chemistry, and they found a way to have a dry electrode to be able to have a battery that cracks far less when you recharge it. And so this is paving the way for economical robo-taxis. Because if a taxi is going to drive all day and all night, it's actually going to end up doing a lot more miles than your typical Uber driver does right now. So it's very important that if we want to drive the cost down for our end users, pun intended, we will need to have 1,000,000 miles in one battery lifetime so that it's able to do enough miles for the cost to be amortized across each of those miles to be only 10 cents to end user. So that's really important for making sure that economical robotaxis can happen in the next few years. So number 3 is going to be the movement to cobalt-free batteries. So historically, cobalt has been an important part of all cell chemistry for lithium-ion batteries. Now, the big thing about cobalt is it is a conflict metal. Now, a conflict metal means that it comes from war-torn countries where there is very dubious slave labor and working conditions for the employees who are mining this metal. So it's very expensive and difficult to find and get. So it's much better if you can remove it from the cell chemistry. In fact, CATL, that is supplying the China Gigafactory with batteries, already has cobalt-free batteries. I think we'll see a global announcement that they are moving towards cobalt-free, and that the acquisition of Maxwell Tech is actually what opened them up for not only dry electrode batteries for more efficient manufacturing, because it doesn't require a whole step of the process, to also cobalt-free batteries and more efficient cells that will lead to the $100 kilowatt-hour batteries and the 1,000,000-mile batteries. So it's all stacking on top of each other. Number 4 is going to be the integration of the whole supply chain. So right now, they have contracted Panasonic and they have a joint venture in Gigafactory 1 to mass produce 35 gigawatt hours of batteries. Now, this cannot continue at this scale, as I've mentioned in my previous videos, where Tesla is going to be producing terawatt hours of batteries. They just cannot continue this partnership. Panasonic is just not capable of it. And so they're not going to just sever that connection because they need to continue ramping while they produce this new cell. But perhaps what they will do is allow the old generation vehicles to use this old technology cell from Panasonic, and at the same time they will announce that they're moving into mining, and they're going to take the miner materials and going to turn it into cells themselves using the Hibar Technologies and Maxwell Technologies acquisitions that they did in the last couple of years. Maxwell being, as I mentioned, a cell chemistry company, and Hibar being a cell manufacturing company. So combining the technology they've acquired there, they should be able to integrate both the cell to module to pack and then phasing out modules, so just cell to pack manufacturing, and even integrating mining, which Elon did joke about, I believe, in the 2017 investor meeting. He did joke about integrating mining. It might have been 2018, I can't remember. But they're also already building Gigafactory 3 V2, which is the second extension of Gigafactory 3 in China. And they're building that, and you've got to assume that a big part of that is going to be in manufacturing batteries over there. Who knows? They haven't locked down. We've got new potential gigafactories coming in America, perhaps in Texas, or something like that. We've got this Gigafactory 4 in Berlin. There's a lot of opportunity here for them to scale up their battery production, and it makes sense to do it at the same time to move to making their own cells. So number 5, the one we've been waiting for. I very much believe This is a bit of a moonshot, but it's the only way I can make the numbers add up, right? I've run the maths, run the numbers, and Tesla must license the Gigafactory technology to other automakers. So Elon has said that they want to have tens of Gigafactories, and when you run the numbers, they need to have tens of Gigafactories to get to the 2 terawatt-hour annual production rate that Elon has touched upon if we're going to turn everything electric. So it does make sense that they can't just build them all themselves, because it costs $2 to $3 billion to build one of these factories, and they're just not going to have the revenue for a quick enough ramp up in a short enough time to be able to produce those kinds of factories. And so instead, what you do is you take the technology that you've already patented and built, and you just license it to Ford, to Volvo, to Toyota, and allow them to make Tesla powertrains and Tesla batteries and pay you a hefty fee, like 20-30% margin, and you didn't have to lay out any cash. They're just paying you for the technology you had sitting around. And so Tesla suddenly becomes like the Intel that's inside of your laptop, the chip in there, and so it becomes powered by Tesla. So that's just the battery and powertrains. But so the machine that makes the machine has been a product for a long time. Elon has talked about this many times, that mass production, making one of something is hard, but making many of something perfectly is almost impossible. It's just so difficult, so much harder. And so this is why I laugh when I see people like Rivian, that they have a great prototype, don't get me wrong, the product is amazing, but they haven't mass produced anything before. And it takes a lot of detail orientation, a lot of proprietary processes to manufacture something new for the first time at scale, profitably and reliably and robustly. So no one else has been able to do this for electric vehicles other than Tesla. This crisis, that we're currently going through has also delayed the research and development plans for many companies. Rivian's delayed. I'm pretty sure GM has just delayed as well yesterday. So there's a lot happening right now that's showing that these other car companies cannot innovate fast enough to keep up. And so their only choice will be to license the Gigafactory technology from Tesla. And so I think we'll see an announcement in the Battery and Powertrain Investor Day on the 20th of April that they have their first deal penned. Whether it will go ahead this year or next year, we'll see. I think that will also be predicated on the fact that the licensed technology will be the old cell chemistry, and Tesla will start to use the new cell chemistry for the Roadster 2 and the semi-truck, and possibly, we'll see with the Cybertruck whether they integrate that or not in time. But I think these will be the 5 things that we see. So just to recap, we've got $100 kilowatt-hour batteries, we've got million-mile batteries, we've got movement to Cobalt-free batteries, the integration of the entire mining and battery supply chain, all the way from mining the materials all the way up to the pack level, which is how they're going to get those cheap, they're going to get the Cobalt-free million-mile $100 per kilowatt-hour batteries. And the final thing is that they're going to take this perfected technology that they've managed to figure out how to mass produce and license that technology to other companies for crazy profits. Right? We're talking about something that could 5x the stock price from where it is now based on profit multiple, because they don't have to lay out any of the cash. These other companies will front the $1 or $2 billion to build the factory, and they will just pay residual revenue to Tesla forever. Right? So when there is a gold rush, you want to sell the pickaxes. That is what Tesla's been doing. They've been finding the perfect process to build pickaxes, and now they're going a step further and selling the way to sell pickaxes. Okay, so this is some next level play. So I think we'll see a lot of these things in the Battery Powertrain Investor Day. So if you're, again, excited for 420, make sure that you hit the thumbs up button, smash it for the YouTube algorithm. Thank you very much for that. And hit the subscribe button, hit the bell icon, make sure you get notified for more content in the future. I'll be breaking down other shares, other company strategies, my own personal finance journey. I'll be breaking down my income streams and how I make my money work for me. So if you've enjoyed this video, thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next one.